in the 90s and 2000, wrapped up his playing days for the Pirates for head coach Keith LeClaire. Going to bring back the winning culture here. They had 3 46-win or better seasons when he was a Pirate. Last year, boy, were they back. 44 wins, hosting a regional. But caught looking at strike 3. Down goes Packard for the second out. Cliff Godwin will point out that ECU leads the state of North Carolina in attendance for baseball. There's some pretty good programs here in the, forgive me, Tar Heel State. And back to Hoover, who walked and scored back in the first inning. Lloyd still on third, Baker right there in scoring position as well. A nice offering from Williams.
In the last several hitters, Williams has started to get that curveball going to where he's not having to rely on that fastball. His fastballs have been a little bit inconsistent in the zone, but I feel like this curveball is getting him settled down a little bit.
ECU, your preseason favorites this year. UCF picked 4th in this competitive league. Got a couple of American teams right now in the RPI top 25. A couple more in the top 50. Really looking forward now to this stretch of the season, including 3 games this weekend between the Pirates and Knights.
It's pretty cool. Williams just backed up that curveball with a slider. It's rare that you see somebody with a big 12-6 curveball able to throw a true slider, because one of them is so different from the other one. It tends to, curveball pitchers tend to kind of throw slurs when they try to throw a slider. And if you throw a good slider, you tend to kind of lose your curveball a little bit. It's impressive to be able to throw both at the same time.
Well, for Williams, he opted to go north for college, up to Orlando. Grew up in Fort Lauderdale.
In north.
He's adjusted to the transition pretty well.
So he's got long sleeves.
We're in the low 60s for the opening pitch tonight. 2 outs. You see the 2 men on. Still trying to come home. Hoover just extends that bat into the opposite batter's box to get a piece of it.
That's what you call 2-strike hitting, protecting the plate.
Lane Hoover, one of several Lincolnton, North Carolina natives on this roster for ECU. Pirates do a good job recruiting in-state. Still an 0-2 hole for Lane Hoover, as he'll rip this one down the right field line. It's going to be a 2-out extra base hit, scoring both Lloyd and Baker. Lane Hoover comes through with 2 away.
Well, back to Coach Lovelady's talk before the game, saying that his pitcher needed to avoid the heart of the plate. And that's a big problem right there on an 0-2 pitch. Slider got way too much of the plate, dropped it down into the nitro zone of a left-hander. All he did was just drop head on that and do what left-handers do. Now he's looking up from the bottom of a 5-1 deficit.
It'll bring up Spencer Brickhouse, who has himself a 2-run extra base hit already today, just 1 inning ago. Only way he can do that again is if he clocks one over the wall.
When you get a right-hander throwing to a left-hander, you got to be real careful with that breaking ball, because they can see it coming out of here, the right-hander's hand. They see it real well. And so you have to be a lot more careful about location. The best spot to throw it against the left-handers, you throw it at their back foot, where they swing over the top of it. Otherwise, you got to kind of sneak some front door sliders in there every now and again. But these big hitting left-handers are seeing that curveball and seeing that slider that's left up in the zone. Williams needs to make an adjustment.
In Brickhouse, the third straight lefty that Williams has seen here in the top third of the lineup. Another one on deck with Burleson if he can keep the inning going. Only runner right there on your screen, Lane Hoover. After his 2-out double, brought home both Lloyd and Baker. Batters who are hit and reached on a fielder's choice. I believe one unearned run now among the 5 we've seen. Williams perhaps one pitch away from getting out of this inning. Brickhouse underneath it. Shouldn't hold up for Wingo, but it'll get down. Hoover with 2 outs was on the move. He comes home to make it another 3-run inning. And all 3 runs here in the second have come home with 2 outs.
There's another breaking ball that just got way too much at the center of the plate. You'll see this little slider breaking right into the left-handed hitter. He's just getting too much air, getting it way up too high for them to see. He's doing a great job of throwing strikes. He had a little bit trouble with his command, getting behind in the count the first inning. He's been throwing a lot more strikes, has Chris Williams. But as we heard had been the problem in the past, he's just getting way too much at the plate when he's ahead in the count. He's going to have to be a lot smarter when he does get in advantageous counts, where he makes these hitters swing at his pitches and throw them in locations that they can't hurt him on.
This is Alec Burleson. Spencer Brickhouse on first, already 3 RBI today. In on the handle. Will barely get out of the infield. And there's the elusive 3rd out. Micah squeezes it in. 7 Pirates come to the plate. Lloyd, Baker, Hoover all come home. Pirates find insurance. 5-run lead after 2.
There's a lot to do out there. You can either talk about it or you can do something about it. At ECU, we choose to do things. And we can help you do just about anything. Come here to keep hometowns thriving, hearts beating, or make waves across the world. Wherever you're headed, this ship can get you there. With 30,000 of us doing so much, you won't find anyone sitting around. You ready?
Powerful minds, strong in mind,
strong in body.
The American is dedicated
to promoting success
through a healthy, powerful mind.
If it is okay to seek help
for injuries we can see,
then it needs to be okay
to seek help for injuries
we can't see.
Mental health awareness is important because I think a lot of times it goes unnoticed in college athletics.
We look after our bodies, and it's just as important to look after our mental health.
It's time to end the stigma
related to mental health
and seeking help. End the stigma.
Well, again, a great backdrop for college baseball here in Greenville. Pirates claiming their 2nd conference tournament title. Only 3 American programs have won that automatic bid out of Clearwater, Florida. And we'll be back in Clearwater this year. Pirates ranked as high as 14th in the polls this week. And Jake Agnos, you have to imagine, with a growing cushion now, a 6-1 advantage. Might be feeling a little looser up on the mound. Number 9 hitters Brandon Hernandez, the shortstop for the Knights, the one man we have not seen with the bat so far today among the starters. And that one just will not get over the head of Brown. 1 away. Back-to-back innings, Agnos able to retire the leadoff man.
Hernandez contacted that ball about a centimeter above his thumbs. Just didn't have the carry on it.
Ray Alejo with the lone base hit in that first inning would ultimately come around to score a double, a steal. Comes up with one away, nobody on. Got that leg kick. Alejo improving on a .363 batting average coming into today, second best on the team. Now up to .370 on the year. Knights last year suffered a loss to these Pirates in the conference tournament, as well as Houston. That would end their run back in their home state. Would finish with 35 wins on the year. Went 13-10 in conference. This is a league where nobody's going to dominate the overall conference play. If you can win about 60% of the games, you're in a good spot. A drop third strike. Washer throws down to Burleson in time. 2 away.
One of the drawbacks to that big high leg kick, and I know a lot of guys feel like it helps them generate more power with their swings, is it makes you a lot more susceptible to off speed because it becomes a real big timing thing. And if you get that foot down and you're used to pulling the trigger as soon as that foot is down and the ball is not there, you're going to run into some trouble. As you saw right there, Jake Agnew threw curveball and a changeup, just kept Alejo way out in front, could not stay back.
Tyler Osick was the first of now 5 strikeout victims for Jake Agnos. Came up in the first inning with Alejo already in scoring position, but unable to advance him at the time. Comes up here with nobody on and 2 away. Could not hold up. Agnos throwing some heat early.
I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to say he's got quite the same stuff, but the style of pitching reminds me a little bit of Eric Gagne, where he'd come with a real hard fastball, but his off-speed stuff was really slow, to the point where the guys were just horribly uncomfortable at the plate because that fastball was hard enough that they had to get geared up, get ready to swing at it. But when he'd pull the string and throw that curveball with a parachute behind it, they just spin themselves into the dirt.
Caught looking. Second backwards K in the books tonight for Agnos. He has struck out 2 Knights in each the 3 innings so far. No Knights come home. Pirates still in the driver's seat here in Greenville.
More than 7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 22 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American, powered by determination.
Strong in mind, strong in body, strong in school, sport, life.
The grind is 10% physical and 90% mental.
The mind is the power.
The body is the means to jump higher, run faster,
be smarter, and live longer.
There is no weakness when it comes to seeking help.
We are stronger together.
So let's talk about it.
A waterfall starts with 1 drop.
Change starts with 1 person.
The American is dedicated to ending the stigma related to mental health
and promoting success through a healthy, powerful mind.
Promoting success through a healthy, powerful mind.
The fans in Greenville have seen some pretty good baseball over the decades. Great evening to come out. Quick start for UCF on the opening run. The lone run so far, Alejo able to come home as they were able to get Micah in a pickle. It's been 6 straight runs now for ECU.
Well, we had a lot of what Coach Lovelady was hoping to avoid tonight with Chris Williams getting way too much of the plate ahead in the count. And you've seen these left-handers are really teeing off of those breaking balls coming from the right-handed pitcher. Add to that a little bit of issues with fielding the bunt at the bottom of the lineup. And they've got themselves in a little bit of a pickle.
Turner Brown has 1 of the 6 RBI today for ECU. Comes up to lead off here out of the 5-hole in the 3rd inning. Brown hitting .313 on the year. Each of the top 5 hitters in this ECU lineup hitting .313 or better.
Nasty changeup from Williams.
We figured just like a 5-run lead for Agnos could loosen him up, perhaps a deficit of 5 could help Williams relax a little, knowing that one little mistake's not going to lose it for you.
Well, it's interesting. When he's ahead in the count, he's throwing a lot of these breaking balls to his left-handers. He's got a plus changeup, which is interesting that he's not using that nearly as much as I would against these left-handed hitters. You see how it faded away from Brown right there. He could not hang off.
Up the middle. This will get through. Brown will have a chance to run the bases for the first time today. Gives us a chance to check in with Aaron.
Thanks, Lincoln. ECU head coach Cliff Godwin said his team is still trying to find their identity despite all the success they've already had this season. Godwin wants his team to be tough, blue collar, and fly around the field. He said they just aren't there yet. However, the head coach said that's okay because while the team is consistently getting better, he wants his team to be playing the best ball at the end of the season. Lincoln?
And looking back, asked him what's the difference between last year's success and this year's success. Pirates had more injuries to deal with last year, but managed those injuries well enough throughout the campaign. A smart group, now a veteran group, returning a lot of talent from a year ago. That would claim again that automatic bid and the right to host a regional as it would pan out. As Brown able to advance 90 feet. And Jake Washer at the plate, 0 for 1 today. A ground out to the left side back in the first inning would end that 3-run inning. They'll hold Brown up at third as Washer and Brown have each reached with singles to get started here in the third inning. It's the third straight inning where ECU has failed to retire either, I should say UCF has failed to retire either of the first 2 batters. That does not bode well as Pirates have scored 3 in each of the first 2 innings. Gives way to the bottom third of the order here. Brady Lloyd hitting .262 this year. He was hit by pitch to lead off last inning, but ultimately come home to score. And Lane Hoover would bring him home with 2 outs. So runners on the corners, nobody out for the bat of Brady Lloyd. That's Brown on third, Washer on first, each on base for the first time today. And that'll get over into the Knights bullpen.
Williams has an 0-2 count on Lloyd here. Let's see if he's learned his lesson. Situation, you got to give the hitter a chance to get himself out on your pitch. Throw it off the plate far enough that even if he makes contact, it's not going to be good contact.
Lloyd in the hole, not chasing, 1-2.
I'd probably like to see that thing another half a foot off the outside part of the plate, or at least down in the dirt.
Lloyd, the senior, out of Mifflinburg, Pennsylvania. 2-2.
Not a bad idea to go in with that fastball. Of course, now it's put him in an even count. Now he's got to come back with something that he can throw for a strike.
Able to get it to break in time. 1 away here in the third.
Well, not a bad idea right there to come with the big over-the-top curveball. Had plenty of room on the base. They had an open base at second base that he could put him if he got behind in the count.
So runners still on the corners for Dusty Baker, who's 0 for 1 today. Baker did have a chance to run the bases, however, and come home to score. Baker getting his Fitbit steps in. Checks, gets closer to his target.
And read the cheat code first.
1-1. Turner Brown and Jake Washer each led off this inning with singles. They are occupying the corners. Brady Lloyd caught looking at strike 3, lone out so far. Number 8 batter, Dusty Baker at the plate, your center fielder for the Pirates today. And Chris Williams in his 3rd inning of work. This one punched foul. Dusty Baker, labeled the spark plug of this team by his head coach, Cliff Godwin. Great speed to have buried in the 8th spot of your lineup.
If I could call pitches from here, I would be calling a changeup outside half. Set it up nicely with that fastball on the previous pitch.
Williams has worked a lot of today out of the stretch. The 1-2. And this will be out of play, foul. See the pitch count for Williams. 2 1/3 innings to show for his 56 pitches so far. 6 runs on 6 hits. An off-speed offering will bring the second out around. Back-to-back strikeouts.
Well, there's an example of that big over-the-top curveball thrown to the left-hander, but you see he got it low enough in the zone just to get under the head of that bat where he got in trouble earlier. Those balls were finishing about a foot higher, right in the sweet spot of the left-handed swing.
Pirates have only stranded 1 runner so far today. That was last inning. They are in danger of stranding a pair here in the 3rd. Williams wouldn't mind. That's Jake Washer on second. As Turner Brown 90 feet ahead of him. Ryder Giles had a sacrifice bunt last inning when he was the 3rd batter to come to the plate. Back up here now in the 3rd. Batting .229 on the campaign. Couple good pitches from Williams.
Well, he's certainly as advertised. He's thrown a lot of strikes. Only walked 1. It was the 2nd batter of the game. Maybe he had a little bit of extra adrenaline being the first conference series. It's returning champions. But he's settled down. He's throwing a lot of strikes. He only had 1 walk on the season coming into tonight's game, so he's doubled his total, but that's not something to be ashamed of.
Gets through on the right side, courtesy of the defensive alignment. Both runners will come home. Well, a bit of good fortune there for the Pirates as Brown and Washer are able to come through.
The second baseman hugging the base. Big hole for that little ground ball to make its way through.
And more often than not, that's just a routine 4-3 put out to get out of the inning. The Knights have not seen a routine inning tonight. 3 runs each of the first 2 innings, now 2 here in the 3rd. The majority of these 8 runs now coming home with 2 outs. We're back to the top of the order, where Bryant Packard has singled, scored, and struck out today. 1 for 2. Giles in scoring position. It was a single, but advanced on the throw. Good barrel on that one from Packard. This 3rd inning continues with 2 outs. Another 180 feet to bring Giles home, and Packard having some fun.
Just another fastball from Williams. It was a little bit elevated. You put it up there on a tee, a good hitter like Packard is going to make you pay for it.
Now 6 of the 9 runs have come home with 2 outs for the Pirates. They're making every out count. 7th batter this inning, back to Lane Hoover, who has scored twice today. A walk and a 2-run double. Chris Williams still trying to get out of this 3rd inning. Leadoff singles for the first 2 men, Brown and Washer, then a couple of strikeouts for your lone outs so far.
Doesn't appear that we're going to be able to get to one of Coach Lovelady's keys of the game, which was to get his starter into the 6th or 7th inning. Pitch count alone.
It's tough on a Friday if you're dipping in your bullpen early. Sunday is always a question mark. Not a lot of college programs have a guy they can guarantee is their man for a Sunday. Often have to look to him, if you do, for long relief earlier in the weekend. Something you'd like to avoid.
Credit Williams for battling up here. He's elevating a little bit, but certainly don't see any issues with poise or mound presence.
This should get down. Packard rounding 3rd. And another 2-out RBI base hit. Now 3 runs come home off the bat today already of Lane Hoover. You know who's getting a workout? All the Pirates on the bench.
A lot of up downs.
RBI single for Hoover. Still 2 outs. Spencer Brickhouse set to face Chris Williams for a 3rd straight inning. Brickhouse 2 for 2 today with 3 RBI. 8th batter of the inning here in the 3rd. Now back in time, Hoover.
Yeah, Williams is doing what you want to ask of a pitcher. He's typically getting ahead. He's throwing a lot of strikes. He's just a little bit elevated for the most part tonight.
Brickhouse is the 4th Pirate to come up with 2 outs this inning.
There was a case in point. That was a big over-the-top curveball. Started out, Brickhouse's eyes broke right down to about his knees, which is right down there in that golf-type swing of a left-handed power hitter.
The 0-1. For Jake Agnos, what are you doing to make sure during this lengthy impasse that you're able to keep going when you take them out?
Yeah, that's the worst part about these games when your team is helping you out so much. It's almost hard to get upset about it, but on one level, you're kind of hoping your guys are going to hurry up and get out so that you can get out there and get back to pitching. Especially he's throwing the ball really well. You get yourself in a little bit of a groove.
Well, Chris Williams records 3 strikeouts in the 3rd. It's about the 5 Pirates who got away from him. 4-run inning for the Pirates, their biggest inning so far. The lead up to 9 when Jake Agnos finally returns to the rubber. 30, scores!
3 strikeouts in a row.
Dominance for a 4th straight year. Cueto from 30!
Unbelievable. And be able to celebrate this type of championship.
There's the record breaker. They are the champions of the American.
Power comes in all forms.
Power is a big tackle,
a big save, a clutch hit,
or a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
There is power in the sportsmanship that is displayed across the American.
Power is respecting opponents,
officials,
student athletes,
coaches, and team representatives.
Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments,
profanities, or other improper actions while at the game.
The American.
Power for life.
The American. Power for life.
The American.
Power for life.
Well, Petey's going to start loosening up. At the moment, he is your projected starter for Sunday. The Pirates social media team came out with their arms projected for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Actually, it was Petey's cousin TBD who is set to go on Sunday. Jake Agnos doing his best to save all the bullpen arms, as he now with 8 insurance runs, a 9-run advantage here at home. Lincoln Rose, Kelly Wunsch with you, along with Aaron Summers down on the diamond today. Our sideline reporter, as the Knights and Pirates colliding in a conference opening matchup. As this is Matthew Micah, who gave himself up as a base runner to help bring home, at the time, the go-ahead score in Ray Alejo back in the first inning, top half. Since then, 10 unanswered from ECU. Micah has walked in his only plate appearance until now, as he gets things started out of the 3-hole.
One of the few 3-ball counts for Agnos tonight. We were talking about that in the break. That's one of the bad things when your team is scoring a lot of runs for you. It kind of gets you a little bit cold.
That is the second walk conceded, both to Micah from Jake Agnos. Matthew Micah, last year's second team all-conference, the senior. Had 27 steals a year ago. Let's see if they're aggressive or not. Down by 9. Those 27 steals were second in the conference, second on his own team. Really an energy guy for the Knights. Gives way to Dallas Beaver, who is one of 6 strikeout victims today for Agnos, 3 of whom have gone down swinging. He'll launch this one out towards right. Hoover to the wall. We'll watch it clear. And the Knights able to strike back. Dallas Beaver with a 2-run blast here in Greenville.
Well, I was just about to say, one of the worst parts about having a 10-1 lead as a starting pitcher, you come out with a head of steam, you got your adrenaline going, and all of a sudden you sit there for 30 minutes while your team scores 5-6 runs. Your adrenaline tends to leave you, and you find yourself a little bit flat-footed, a little bit slow. And that's how Agnos has started this inning. Got behind in the count to Matthew, and left a fastball way up in the zone for Beaver to take it for a ride. Now he finds himself a little bit closer ball game. He's going to have to see if that will get him a little bit fired up.
Team leading 5th home run on the year for Dallas Beaver. 2-run shot reclaims half the runs that they conceded last inning. Here's Anthony George with nobody out, nobody on. He flied out to center to lead off the second inning, as Jake Washer will come out to talk to his battery mate, Jake Agnos. The 2 Jakes. That's a dated TV reference.
Yeah, he's just going to tell him, hey, take it easy. You're rushing out there a little bit. Finish the pitches. He has left everything up. His first 2 hitters of the inning, he's been missing up. And tell him relax, stay back, and finish the pitch.
Of course, there's a third Jake Kuchmaner, your back-to-back pitcher of the week in the American, including this last week, made it easy on the voters with that 3-0 perfect decision against Maryland at Maryland. And again, he is not yet firmly in ink as your Sunday starter, pitching NCAA's 28th ever perfect game. Tyler Smith your starter tomorrow for the Pirates. And Jake Agnos, again, still with a 7-run cushion, facing Anthony George. And another 4-pitch walk.
Agnos so far, I think, since he's come in this inning, has only thrown 2 balls for strikes. One of them ended up going over the right field fence.
A home run sandwiched between a pair of free passes this inning. Still nobody out. As Dalton Wingo comes up, struck out looking in his only at bat back in the 2nd inning. Well, we tongue-in-cheek talked about whether Agnos was going to be angry about the long offensive output from the Pirates, but it's been a struggle here. And a nice offering from Jake.
Sometimes you got to go back to the pitch that's your favorite pitch, the one that causes you, that forces you to stay back the longest. I'd say for Agnos, it's probably going to be his curveball. If he can get that going, I think you're going to see him fall right back in that groove. As you see there, back-to-back strikes with that big over-the-top deuce.
2 runs already this inning for UCF. The 2-run blast from Dallas Beaver. Anthony George with a walk a moment ago. And still an 0-2 hole for Dalton Wingo. Final non-conference series before this weekend. Again, they took 2 of 3 games against VCU back home. That's a pretty mature VCU program. Good test coming into their midweek matchup against Florida State. They beat the top 25 Seminoles. Talking about UCF. This is when games really start to matter. Knights have not traveled outside of Orlando much. Just 2 road games all year before today, and both of those were in state. Gainesville and Tallahassee. Both were victories against top 25 SEC and ACC foes. Well, how will this at-bat play out? Dalton Wingo facing Jake Agnos for a 2nd time, a 2-2 count.
Washington did a nice job of framing that low fastball. Didn't quite get the call.
And they will keep Anthony George honest. And Wingo batting .241 now on the year. Foul ball.
Wingo appearing to settle in and able to recognize that curveball. Is doing a good job of just fighting it off.
Did not miss by much, but the count goes full. Already 2 walks this inning and a home run surrendered by Jake Agnos. And this count's going to hold right where it is.
Couldn't tell if it was a strike, Lincoln, because they didn't have that helpful box like they have on TV, right?
Let me get a Sharpie out here for you.
I so much like watching baseball better without that box.
You couldn't see it when you're on the mound?
Oh, believe me, I had it very well defined in my mind. It went around whatever pitch I threw.
Up the middle from Wingo. As the Pirates still have not found an out, 4 batters in to the top of the 4th inning. That's good news for the Knights, who have already scored twice here and have 2 men on.
Agnos going to have to find his mojo again. He was up there like a gunslinger the first 3 innings. You could tell he just came out cold and flat-footed in the 4th. He finds himself a little bit defensive at this point.
Let's see if the bottom third of the order can come through here for UCF. You had the bunt for the base hit for Chandler Robertson back in the 2nd inning. One of just 2 hits before this 4th inning. We've already seen 2 hits now here in the 4th frame. 5th batter of the frame. Robertson, your DH. Robertson, a transfer a couple years ago from Murray State. Played a couple years for the Racers. Really was the most used player off the bench last year for these Knights when he hit .368, 500 on base percentage as a pinch hitter. This year a starter in that DH role. Only third base unoccupied.
Left-handed Robinson with one of the few hits on Agnos tonight. One of the things about Agnos is a left-hander. He's not, as we said before, not that left-handed. You see he comes from way over the top. Doesn't have as much of an advantage as you typically have from a left-hander that has a little bit more of a three-quarter arm slot where the ball is kind of coming from behind you. He's seeing this almost as good as he would from a right-hander. And again, the big over-the-top curveball is more of a straight down breaker. Doesn't break away from the bat as much as it would be on some of the lower arm slot.
Still nobody out. Fifth batter of the inning is Robertson out of the 7-hole. Already the best inning so far for UCF.
Agnos found the zone with that pitch, but again, it's up. He has been way up in the zone ever since that long layoff while his team was scoring in the third.
The 1-2. Strikeout number 7 for Jake Agnos. First out recorded here in the 4th inning.
That last pitch looked a little bit more like the first 3 innings. Good pace on it, good location. Force the left-handed hitter to expand the plate to the outside. Most of us lefties do not like that.
Throw was there in time, but the tag not applied.
Anthony George over there at second base got caught snoozing a little bit because it wasn't the shortstop covering the bag. The second baseman, Brady Lloyd, managed to sneak in back there. Almost got him.
Griffin Bernardo today 0 for 1 with a strikeout back in the 2nd inning to end that frame when the Knights stranded 1. UCF has only stranded 1 runner today. Jake Agnos wouldn't mind leaving a couple more Knights on here in the 4th, as both George and Wingo still on the base paths. There's Anthony George. As I say, Jake Agnos wouldn't mind a double play grounder here, but also wouldn't mind just getting a strikeout for the lone out. Able to hold up, they say yes. Appeal down. And looks to be the right call.
It's a pretty good looking pitch, but as soon as you see the catcher reach across his body and kind of lean to catch a pitch, it's going to have to be perfect height.
1 pitch later. And Jake Agnos continues to be an equal opportunist with those backwards Ks. Back-to-back strikeouts for your lone 2 outs now.
Now you're starting to see the pitcher that we saw the first 3 innings. Like I said, it was clear as day how cold and flat he came out that inning. He seems to have kind of gotten his groove back, driving the ball down through the zone, and he's forcing these hitters to be off balance, and they're having to try to just cover too much of the plate. He does a good job of expanding up and down. Expands high with that fastball, and then that curveball, he breaks it down into the bottom of the zone. And you'll see a lot of these guys swinging that fastball, just not catching up to it, swinging probably several inches underneath that fastball, just cannot get the wood up to the fastball.
Senior shortstop Hernandez, we saw him with the soft liner over to his counterpart Brown for the first out back in the 3rd inning. He's the 7th batter here in the 4th to face Jake Agnos.
That's an 0-2 count. He's got Hernandez in a bad situation. He's looking for that curveball that's going to be nice and slow, and he's going to have to stay back on, or he could throw that fastball up at his chin.
Well, the first 4 Knights to come to the plate all reached. 2 would score. Jake Agnos with 3 consecutive strikeouts to slam the door shut on the 4th inning. Knights will strand a pair. The Pirates hanging on. The advantage here at home. 5-7 with the home half of the 4th inning. The other side of the break.
More than 7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 22 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American, powered by determination.
Power comes in all forms.
Power is a big tackle,
A big save, a clutch hit.
Or a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
There is power in the sportsmanship that is displayed across the American.
Power is respecting opponents,
Officials,
student athletes,
Coaches and team representatives.
Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments.
profanities, or other improper actions while at the game.
The American.
Power for life.
The American, power for life.
The American.
Power for life.
Knights put a 2 spot on the board in the top half of the 4th inning. Lincoln Rose, Kelly Wunsch welcoming you back to Lewis Field at Clark LeClaire Stadium. Again, Pirates fans have had a lot of good baseball to follow over the recent years. 15 of the last 20 seasons they've gone to the NCAA tournament. Now 29 trips to the NCAA postseason. And of course, even when they were at NAIA, a national title back in the 60s. Your second arm on the mound tonight for UCF as they go to Zach Hunsicker, the freshman. Get you some of Zach's numbers in just a moment. Zach will inherit a deficit here as he takes the mound. And will be facing cleanup man Alec Burleson. Fifth appearance on the year, all out of relief for Hunsicker with his 4.26 ERA so far. 6 1/3 innings under his belt this year. Closing hitters batting .346. As he's on in relief for Chris Williams. And that's a foul ball.
Hunsicker, one of those breed of pitchers, is just a large individual. Big boy.
For the left side, Hernandez. Reliable at short. A routine play. Burleson, the only Pirate who's not been able to run the bases today. 0 for 3. Let's check in with Aaron once again.
If you look at the UCF dugout, they have a jersey hanging that has the number 38 on it. It's also the same number that first baseman Dallas Beaver wears. He wears it in honor of his best friend, Joe Skinner. Joe Skinner was a commit to UCF. He signed a letter of intent in December 2015 and was very shortly thereafter diagnosed with a rare form of leukemia. In April 2016, Joe Skinner passed away. The entire incoming 2016 class wears wristbands that say Skinner Strong on them in honor of Joe Skinner. It's something that they hold very dear to their heart, and they honor him with a night every single season where they raise money for pediatric cancer. Lincoln?
Aaron, thank you very much. Again, many of those nights, can't see him at the moment, but wearing the wristbands. And I think Dallas Beaver has proudly wore that number 38. Turner Brown at the plate right now. with 1 out, nobody on. Able to score last inning at the time to make it 8-1. Since then, 2 Pirates and 2 Knights have come home. Just looking for more insurance for Jake Agnos. Underneath this one, Alejo in center. 2 away. Well, Zach Hunsaker's come on. Retires the first 2 batters he's faced. We'll bring up Jake Washer, who's 1 for 2 today with a run scored out of the 6th spot.
I haven't really seen anything unique from Hunsaker so far, except that he's getting ahead and keeping the ball a little bit down in the zone. Strikes are good, low strikes are always better, and he's kept it in. More of a sinker ball pitcher. You know, normally you see a big right-hander come in like that, and I'm ready for him to rear back, touch second base, and throw 95. You see he comes across the ball a lot when he releases it, and you see he's got pretty good sink, pretty good movement down and in towards the right-hander. You're going to see a lot of ground balls on a pitcher like this.
Washer out of King, North Carolina, the 4th-year junior. Pirates last weekend. Nice 5-hour bus ride. This will be a much shorter trip. A 1-hopper over the wall. Automatic double for Jake Washer with 2 outs.
I may have jinxed Hunsaker a little bit, talking about how well he was staying down in the zone. That certainly wasn't down in the zone. There was a fastball about belly button high, right up where Jake Washer could see it really well. And Hunsaker's lucky that that ball didn't go another 8 feet.
Washer 2 for 3 on the day now. Brings up the bottom 3rd of the order. Brady Lloyd's been hit by pitch and struck out looking his 2 appearances against Chris Williams, your starter. Hunsaker now 2/3 of the way into his first inning of relief. And Hunsaker ahead in the count. If Godwin knows he's more often than not going to see a quality at bat out of Lloyd at the plate, whether it's productive or not, from the senior. Make the pitcher work. But right now, Hunsaker ahead. Perhaps 1 pitch away from getting out of this inning. Washer in scoring position, but here's the 0-2. No such luck. It'll get down. It's another 2-out run scored for the Pirates.
Well, Hunsaker got ahead in the count, but as you can see, the slider that he threw to try to put Lloyd away was just up in the zone, elevated. And the saying goes, if you hang them, they bang them.
So Lloyd now will be your base runner with 2 outs. So after a ground out and fly out from Burleson and Brown, Washer and Lloyd have come through with a double and a single. And here's Dusty Baker. Run scored in the 2nd, struck out last inning. His first chance to see Hunsaker. Again, one of the many left-handed bats for the Pirates. Pirates put up 15 runs on the opening weekend against Radford on that Saturday. They had put up 12 on Western Carolina. It was the 3rd most runs they've scored this year. Fifth time they've put up a 10 spot or better. This will be the most meaningful one if they can pull off a win. Runner going. And they'll get him. That is your elusive 3rd out. Brady Lloyd caught stealing, but not before he comes through with the 2-out RBI single. ECU has produced at least one run now in each of the 4 innings.
People say we're big. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy. An opportunity. So go on. Dream big. Because big is just the beginning.
I got it. This is big.
Powerful minds. Strong in mind. Strong in body.
The American is dedicated
To promoting success
through a healthy, powerful mind.
If it is okay to seek help.
For injuries we can see, then it needs to be okay
To seek help for injuries
we can't see.
Mental health awareness is important because I think a lot of times it goes unnoticed in college athletics.
We look after our bodies, and it's just as important to look after our mental health.
It's time to end the stigma
related to mental health
and seeking help.
End the stigma.
Well, ECU, perhaps following a certain other sport still underway here in the month of March. Some of the fans. Great to have you with us here on the American Digital Network tonight, whether we're on your first screen, second screen, third screen. For those of you tuning in on the Facebook stream on the American Digital Network Plus, interacting in the comments section. Top third of the order due up for the Knights, as they are seeing the same mustache on the mound for a 5th straight inning, Jake Agnos. Agnos allowing 3 runs on 4 Knights hits so far. Knights stranding 2 last inning, 3 total for the ball game. Here's Ray Alejo, first pitch swinging back in the first. Would ultimately make it a 1-0 ball game before the inning was done. Pirates then would have, I believe, 6 unanswered. Alejo today 1 for 2 with a double and a strikeout.
Agnos picking right back up where he left off last inning. He finally got that curveball going. Started looking like he did the first 3.
Second team all-conference last year, comes through with his second base hit today. Second straight inning the Knights have been able to get their leadoff man on.
Agnos got Alejo in an 0-2 count. Went back to the well one too many times and might not have been a problem, except he just got way too much air underneath that curveball. Allowed Alejo to stay back and just flip it into center field for a single.
So a single there for Alejo. That's all he was missing, pursuing a cycle back on March 9th against Penn State, and had all the other extra base hits. He's back on the base paths, and a tough hop gets past Lloyd. So Alejo in scoring position. Osick presumably with his first base hit of the ball game after striking out twice. See how the officials score, how generous he is. I mentioned Tyler Osick is the answer to your trivia question. His dad Keith, also a former Pirate. Osick was drafted by the Pirates a couple years ago, opted to stay as a Knight. Micah back to the wall, and for the second time tonight, the Knights sail to conquer the outfield wall here at Lewis Field at Clark LeClaire Stadium. Matthew Micah with a 3-run blast to make it interesting.
Well, Micah, who Coach Lovelady has said is the spark plug of his team. He's the one that keeps the guys loose. Was the one of the few base runners that they had early in this game. Walked his first 2 at bats, and then certainly providing a spark plug for his team there with a 3-run home run.
First home run of the year for Micah. And we did not catch what has led to the discontent of third base coach Ryan Klosterman.
I'm not sure, but there was a bat that landed awful close to first base. Is that Micah's?
They'll get all this straightened out. Again, 3-run blast for Micah. Alejo and Osick both score, and yeah.
A little bit of a celebratory bat toss. That is frowned upon typically.
Well, while we've got him out of the dugout, Greg Lovelady, former Miami Hurricane. Certainly they've had some good programs down there at Coral Gables. He's trying to match that in Orlando these days in his third year at the helm. A conference coach of the year a couple years back. We are not privy to the conversation. Kelly Wunsch's days of reading lips of the opposing dugout have since faded.
Well, I can't do anymore because they always put their gloves up to their mouths, right?
That's the least happy any team has been about a 3-run home run. And Godwin will come out to talk to his ace, who's surrendered a couple of multi-hit homers the last 2 innings. This was a 10-1 ball game, but a productive last couple of innings for UCF. And once again, still no outs for Dallas Beaver. Beaver had that 2-run blast last inning.
That was a message. I don't think there's any question.
This is just the first game of conference play.
Agnos is going to say it slipped, because that's what we're supposed to say. But he hadn't missed the strike zone that far all night.
Agnos, also the DJ, choosing a little bit of chin music.
Oh, man.
Finds the strike zone on his third try. 2-1. Nobody on after the 3-run home run. Beaver underneath this should hang up there for Hoover. 1 away. Took 4 batters here in the 5th, but the first out recorded. I'll give way to Anthony George. 0 for 1 today with a walk and a fly out. A 4th-year junior. Mentioned had to redshirt last year after being injured 2 games in. George batting $1.67 at the moment.
Agnos rushing through his balance point a little bit. You see he's just rushing to the plate. Usually happens, start getting a little bit tired. 5th inning is pretty common for a starter to run through a little bit of a speed bump as he starts, as his legs start getting tired and they have to make that adjustment. And usually what happens, it's because you're rushing out there, you don't stay on that back leg long enough, your arm doesn't catch up and everything elevates for about an inning.
George was looking to tie the game up there with a 5-run shot. Behind on this one. Well, for the Knights, the good news may be they're getting that pitch count up on Agnos. Can they chase him at some point with a high enough scoring ball game and take advantage of some relievers?
His number of pitches per inning has certainly exploded over the last two. He was pretty efficient going through the first three.
Anthony George, the 5th batter this inning, number 5 batter in the lineup. First 3 would reach, including Matthew Micah with the 3-run blast. Pull the Knights back within 5. Second night with a homer this evening. And another free pass from Jake Agnos. Now 4 walks on the evening.
We mentioned earlier 4 walks on the evening, but he only had 6 walks on the season in the previous 30 innings. So this is, at least for this season, out of the ordinary for Agnos.
Knights with 7 hits, 4 walks. That's already 11 more base runners than ECU pitching gave up their last outing on Sunday in that perfect game. We've already seen Cliff Godwin come out once, and twice will be enough to take that ball from Jake Agnos, who saw 5 more batters here in the 5th inning, 3 of whom have come down to score. We'll introduce you to the first Pirate out of the bullpen when we come back here on the American Digital Network in Greenville, North Carolina tonight for the conference opener.
There's a lot to do out there. You can either talk about it or you can do something about it. At ECU, we choose to do things. And we can help you do just about anything. Come here to keep hometowns thriving, hearts beating, or make waves across the world. Wherever you're headed, this ship can get you there. With 30,000 of us doing so much, you won't find anyone sitting around. You ready?
Scores!
3 strikeouts in a row.
Dominance for a 4th straight year.
Hueso from 30!
Unbelievable. And be able to celebrate this type of championship.
There's the record breaker. They are the champions of the American.
Cam Colmore, the first man in relief tonight for the Pirates. 4th-year junior. Right-hander here for ECU. We'll get you his numbers in just a moment, but he inherits a 5-run advantage at home tonight in the conference opener. And let's see if he can find those final 2 outs here in the 5th inning. While he warms up, let's check in with Aaron Summers.
Lincoln, we have some extra time here for some more Facebook poll action. ECU lefty Jake Kuchmaner has been earning plenty of national recognition after coming 1 out away from a no-hitter at Ole Miss on March 6th and tossing the 28th perfect game in NCAA history against Maryland last week. The Pirates have now held opponents hitless 11 times in their history. When was the last time ECU threw a no-hitter prior to this season? Make sure you answer that on our poll on Facebook.
Aaron, thank you. As, again, Jake Kuchmaner this year, a solid 2-0 record, a 1.48 ERA. We think there might be a chance we'll see him on Sunday, but it's not guaranteed just yet. Right now, and the Pirates with Cam Colmore, who faces Dalton Wingo, the number 5 hitter, who has struck out and singled that base hit coming last inning. Cam, a 2.45 ERA, 1 win, no defeats, and his 6 appearances previously, all in relief. Works a little over an inning per outing, 7 1/3 innings of work so far. Opposing hitters hitting $179 this year. So Jake Agnos is not going to qualify for a victory here tonight. I think he's okay with that as long as the Pirates start off the season 1-0 in the American.
A little bit of a multi-arm angle pitcher for Colmore. Mainly over the top. You saw him drop down, a little sidearm right there.
We also know Agnos will not qualify for a loss tonight. Just responsible for the runner George at first right now. Will stay down, and it's booted. Lloyd could not keep it in front of him. Perhaps with a chance for two, certainly to get the lead runner. Instead, the E4 means there's still just one out with 2 men on.
Sharply hit ground ball, but right at Lloyd. Perfect opportunity for a double play. As you can see, the hitter was barely out of the batter's box by the time the ball got to Lloyd. Missed opportunity for ECU.
So fielder's choice allows Wingo to reach. The error keeps George on the base paths in scoring position. And here's Chandler Robertson, the DH. Bunted for a single in the second inning. Would be left on base. Struck out more recently last inning in the fourth. As he is the 7th batter this inning, an inning which began with the top of the order for UCF. Alejo, Osick, Micah have all scored on Micah's 3-run blast. You've got George and Wingo now as your base runners. George and Wingo. He's missing John and Paul.
Oh, man.
17 runs already this evening between these two American offenses. Knights able to chase the Pirates' ace Agnos here in the 5th. In Colmore, the redshirt junior out of Winterville, North Carolina. Pirates have had 3 of the 4 pitchers of the week so far here in the American. Agnos, a recipient once, and of course Kuchmaner now the last 2 weeks. As this bunt will not make its way back into fair territory.
Pearson Colmore generally goes up a little bit higher to his higher arm slot against left-handers. Right-handers get up there, see a little bit more of the sidearm. Get the angle, get the deception. It's hard to do both.
It's a 1-2 count here to Robertson. Bottom third of the order for the Knights has yet to produce a run, as they are a combined 1 for 6 with 4 strikeouts. All that though against Agnos. Robertson was the one with the bunt single in the second inning. But he goes down swinging a second time today.
Nasty righty on lefty changeup. It's one time that right-handers, especially guys with low arm slots like Colmore, get that left-hander up there. You know that you've got an advantage with that changeup. Same as left-handers have the advantage with the changeup against the righties.
Bernardo struck out looking, struck out swinging, 0 for 2 today. At the plate for his second straight inning, 8th batter of the inning for the Knights. They still have 2 men to work with on the base paths right now against the reliever Cam Colmore, who has retired one of the 2 men he has faced, the other one reaching thanks to an error.
I like that he started Bernardo off with a changeup. A lot of times, you know, sort of tradition has it that right-handers don't throw right-handers changeups and lefties don't throw lefties changeups because they say it sinks down into their swing plane. And I strongly disagree. It's a change of pace. Keeps hitters off balance no matter what side of the plate you're on.
The 1-1. Blows it right by Bernardo. Runner on second, Anthony George. Dalton Wingo on first with 2 away. 8-hole hitter Bernardo at the plate. Not going to win that call.
Good pitcher's pitch. Very good 1-2 count pitch.
Brandon Hernandez on deck, 0 for 2. Bernardo trying to keep the inning alive. Possibly add to the scoreboard along the way. Instead, back-to-back strikeouts. Cam Colmore comes on, faces 3 men, allows no additional damage. The Knights are able to strike. Matthew Micah, for the first time this year, touches them all and brings home 3 more.
More than 7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 22 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American, powered by determination.
Power comes in all forms.
Power is a big tackle, a big save, a clutch hit,
or a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
There is power in the sportsmanship that is displayed across the American.
Power is respecting opponents,
Officials,
student athletes,
Coaches and team representatives.
power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments,
profanities, or other improper actions while at the game.
The American.
Power for life.
The American, power for life.
The American,
power for life.
Home half of the 5th inning. Pirates still hanging on to a 5-run advantage, led by 8 going into the last half of the frame. Zach Hunsaker back for his 2nd inning of work, as he would allow just 1 insurance run from the Pirates in the 4th inning. Eight, 9, and leadoff spot due up for ECU. Dusty Baker today reached on a fielder's choice with score in the 2nd. Struck out in the 3rd. 0 for 2 today. Baker, the junior out of Georgia. Great speed. They don't mind him leading off this inning out of the 8-hole. His first time to see Hunsaker. Zach Hunsaker, again, the freshman out of the Show Me State. The 1-1 to Baker. UCF has scored 5 of the last 6 runs of this ball game. Pulled back within 5. 6 runs on 7 hits tonight. ECU a clean 11 runs on 11 hits. Have just left a pair. As this will hang up there for Baker's counterpart Alejo. 1 away. Good start for the freshman Hunsaker. He's kept the leadoff man off the base paths each of his 2 innings now. Gives way to Ryder Giles. 2 runs batted in. Back in the 3rd inning by the number 9 hitter. Out of Vass, North Carolina, the freshman. The 3rd baseman for the Pirates was a high school shortstop. They travel ball at a really high level, even keel young man. As his offense continuing to improve, his defense is already where Cliff Godwin had hoped for the freshman. One out, nobody on, with Bryant Packard on deck. We have yet to see a perfect inning from UCF. Even Jake Agnos just had one 3-up, 3-down affair back in the 3rd inning. Instead, both teams providing some offensive fireworks here on opening night of conference play.
Credit UCF for not laying down.
2-1 to Giles. Both nights' pitchers have been able to find that spot.
Big over the top deuce.
A little help from Anthony George behind the plate. One out, nobody on. And Wingo will squeeze in the fly, 2 away.
Hunsaker, big 6'4" man boy, throwing from way up high. You see, he's got a pretty good downhill angle. He releases the ball pretty high up, and you see that fastball going on that downhill plane, and it's really hard to consistently square it up when guys are doing that. I know back in my minor league days with the Milwaukee Brewers, that was one of their biggest deals. They preached downhill angle, downhill angle. That was like their newest and greatest thing. But it is certainly something that benefits. It's one of the good things about being a guy that's almost 6.5 feet tall. You can let go of that ball way up high, and so now the hitter's got to track it in more than one plane. Ups the level of difficulty.
UCF has struggled to find that 3rd out. A chance here. Nice backhanded stab by Micah. Showed off his bat last inning, his glove here in the 5th. And for the first time today, no Pirate will score in the 5th inning. Knights keep it. Just a 5-run affair here in Greenville.
People say we're big. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy. An opportunity. So go on. Dream big. Because big is just the beginning.
I got it.
Strong in mind, strong in body, strong in school, sport, life.
The grind is 10% physical and 90% mental.
The mind is the power.
The body is a means to jump higher, run faster,
be smarter, and live longer.
There is no weakness when it comes to seeking help.
We are stronger together.
So let's talk about it.
A waterfall starts with one drop.
Change starts with one person.
The American is dedicated to ending the stigma related to mental health
and promoting success through a healthy, powerful mind.
Promoting success through a healthy, powerful mind.
Knights able to shut down the bats of ECU in the last half inning. See if they can continue to chip away now after finding home runs for their cause each of the last 2 innings from both Dallas Beaver and Matthew Micah. It's the 9 spot due up first with Brandon Hernandez. And for ECU, Cam Colmore back for his first full inning of work after facing 3 batters in relief back in the 5th. A pair of strikeouts to show for it. You see the results. Those of you voting at home, last time ECU had a no-hitter before the perfect game on Sunday. It was back in 2015 that the Pirates were able to add to their legacy. Hernandez chases now behind the count 0-2. A line out from Hernandez and a strikeout 0 for 2 today. Hernandez was the only starter not to bat last inning.
Colmore, one of these kitchen sink pitchers. He's throwing everything but. Drop down sidearm, throw a fastball outside corner. Thought he had nipped it. Just a little bit outside. Came back with the changeup over the middle of the plate. Probably got too much air.
That's one reference, kitchen sink, that's aged well compared to a lot of outdated technology and home appliances. And Colmore is not going to get that call. 2-2 now the count to Hernandez. Brandon, your shortstop out of Royal Palm Beach, Florida. And Lloyd has had a tough outing these last couple of innings. And regardless of how it's happened, UCF continues to find ways to get their leadoff batter on now for a 3rd straight inning.
We got some speed with Brandon Hernandez at the plate. Lloyd knew he had to hurry, but I don't think that was a result of trying to throw the ball before he caught it. He just misplayed it.
So Knights have had their leadoff man reach the last 2 innings. It's led to a total of 5 runs in those innings. Here's Ray Alejo, who's been a part of it. He came home on Matthew Micah's 3-run blast last inning. Alejo has scored twice today. Now batting .372, 2 for 3 this evening. And I know you wanted to mention Alec Burleson for his effort over there.
Tell you what,
those are still technically sideburns.
Yeah. The Knights have a Beaver over there playing first base. UCF has a Beaver that died on their first baseman's face.
Look forward to seeing him in Civil War documentaries on PBS as they toss it back over.
He's doing some reenactments on the weekend.
One on, nobody out for Alejo.
Not often you get away with a changeup high that you get swung through. They swing underneath the changeup, but that was one right there.
Alejo started his college career in Oxford, Mississippi with the Rebels. Played 1 year for Ole Miss, transferred to Northwest Florida State. Would remain in his home state. The Orlando native playing closer to home with these Knights now. Last year all conference in the American. And he would be 5th in the nation with his 34 steals 8th best mark in UCF history. Just a great all-around athlete. They love having him at the top spot in this lineup.
Another changeup to Alejo. That one's over the top. I like this guy's pitch selection. You know me, I like the changeup. He's not afraid to throw it.
That one will take an awkward hop. Hernandez is going to gain 90 feet, make it a $180. He goes one corner to the other. And that has to make Alejo happy. Gives him a few more options at the plate. As that one eluded the pelt on the hand of Burleson.
I don't think the umpire got out of the way of it. I think it caught him off the right shoe.
Yep.
Burleson didn't have a chance to make a play on that. Colmore just spun and just drug the ball with him in the direction of his spin.
2-2 the count to Alejo with a runner 90 feet away. Can't imagine they're going to gamble with Hernandez there on third. They just need him to eventually come around, but not a critical run at the moment, especially with nobody out. Two from Colmore. Nice job by Alejo. Pushes it to the right side. Alejo almost able to beat it out, was frustrated.
Now they're saying that he may have beat it out.
He was told to stick around. RBI in the infield. And just a little too cavalier with the toss over. And the same man who called him out, I believe, just replayed it in his head and said,
that's not
he's able to correct himself. No.
Got to give him credit for guts. That takes
Grady Smith, our first base umpire. Initial call was out, and I don't know if he signaled the foot was not on the bag, but he was quick to tell Alejo to stick around. Hernandez has scored.
You got to appreciate that with an umpire. It's hard to admit when you're wrong and everybody's booing you half the time anyway. Takes some guts and integrity to change a call like that. And of course, you don't see anybody arguing, so it's clear they felt he got it right.
I wonder whether he thought on a bang-bang play he was safe or whether he spotted a foot just not on the bag. Burleson. Either way, that right side of the infield has had some struggles defensively for the Pirates. And now a 4-run ball game.
How about Alejo getting down the line on that routine ground ball to second baseman? You know, typically you will have time to do what Lloyd did, kind of get his feet underneath him and do a little shuffle before he threw.
Well, he was safe, as we may be able to show you the replay. This is a great angle from our guys. And the foot was on the bag, but ultimately it's the right call. You do not see that very often.
Nope.
Tip of the hat to Grady Smith over there at first base.
Boy, just one more thing for Brady Lloyd to go home and think about tonight. Like you said, he's having a little bit of a rough one this second half of the ball game defensively.
Just a couple of miscues on the infield on the right side, and instead of there being 2 outs for Tyler Osick coming to the plate, nobody retired. 1 run is scored, and really at no fault of his own for Cam Colmore.
Not at all.
He's done. Third Pirate pitcher coming up when we return here on the American Digital Network.
There's a lot to do out there. You can either talk about it or you can do something about it. At ECU, we choose to do things. And we can help you do just about anything. Come here to keep hometowns thriving, hearts beating, or make waves across the world. Wherever you're headed, this ship can get you there. With 30,000 of us doing so much, you won't find anyone sitting around. You ready?
30, scores!
3 strikeouts in a row.
Dominance for a 4th straight year.
Cueto from 30!
Unbelievable. And be able to celebrate this type of championship.
There's the record breaker. They are the champions of the American.
Sam Lanier making his 8th appearance down in the bullpen this year. A 3.86 ERA, 1 decision. Cam Colmore at the moment would be in line for the victory, presumably, as Jake Agnos did not go the prerequisite 5 innings in his start. Lanier's thrown 9 1/3 innings so far. Opposing hitters hitting .206. But it's a brand new season. Conference play. These Knights are still in pursuit of a 1-0 start of their own here in conference play. Hernandez and Alejo have both reached this inning on some infield miscues, and I mean, still nobody out when Tyler Osick faces the new pitcher, Sam Lanier. Osick with a single and run scored last inning. He came home on that 3-run homer from Micah. Prior to that, a couple of strikeouts.
So far, Sam Lanier winning the mustache contest for the night. That is a Super Trooper Deluxe.
Got him a future asking, do you know how fast you're going? Now the only radar guns pointed at his right arm. Lanier, the senior, as he'll face Osick. And Osick last year's 2nd team all-conference. 9 home runs. Led the league in RBI last year with his 56 runs batted in. Can he bring home another one, maybe 2 here? And first pitch strike from Lanier. So Colmore still on the hook for Alejo, who's over at first. Hernandez came home.
Interesting. He's wearing white socks with no stirrups, as far as I can tell. New look.
You can follow Kelly Wunsch on Twitter for all the baseball fashion trends.
I'm telling you, it looks like they took him out of the first base coach's box.
Again, facing his first batter in relief tonight. A good one in Tyler Osick. Saw Ray Alejo doing his best to help out Osick by pulling some attention away from Sam Lanier. Alejo has already scored twice tonight. A single a moment ago on an infield base hit.
Last 2 pitchers for ECU, you're seeing a lot more movement on their fastball in the first couple than the starters for the ball game. Both of them coming way across their fastball, 3/4 or lower. You can see some real good sink, real good tail. A lot harder to square it up. It's harder to throw for a strike. It's one of those. Sometimes it takes it longer for those type of pitchers to develop to where they can get ahead and stay ahead. But it certainly is an advantage to throw stuff that is not straight.
Lanier, your second relief pitcher tonight for the Pirates. Coming up the 1-2 offering to Tyler Osick. 2-hole hitter for the Knights. One of the more recent adjustments as he moved up. Dallas Beaver moved down. Obviously that's paid off. Beaver with the 2-run blast back in the 4th inning. First of 2 home runs over the last 2 innings for the Knights. That's led to 5 runs alone. Saw the 7th run of the game for the Knights earlier this inning, unearned against Cam Colmore. And Sam Lanier comes in with nobody out. A defense that has dropped the ball on a couple of occasions, and Osick will take care of business, or pardon me, Lanier takes care of business himself, banning Osick. 3rd strikeout today for Tyler.
Pretty good sequence on those last couple of pitches. Waste a fastball up and away, and then move a curveball that a little bit more over the plate, starts out at the same elevation, the bottom falls out of it.
Well, Matthew Micah at the plate has not hit a home run since last inning. Conquered that left field wall. Brought home Alejo and Osick at the time. Micah himself has touched home twice tonight. Another look at the attempt to get Alejo off the bag. Alejo for the 2nd time tonight. Bang, bang play there in time. Got him that time. 3rd time a charm. Sam Lanier has faced 1 batter, has recorded 2 outs.
Well, this is a little bit what Coach Lovelady was talking about needing to have before the game is efficiency on the base pass, and that's certainly not going to get you there. You can't afford to give away outs this tight of a ball game. I'm sure that Alejo, with his speed, was looking to set up a runner in scoring position to take themselves out of the double play, but sure he'd like to have that opportunity back.
So nobody on now for Micah. And after all that, Ray Alejo not thrilled with first base umpire Grady Smith tonight, despite having 2 of 3 calls go his way.
I don't think he had anything to argue about on that last one. He was clearly beat to the bag by the throw.
Micah will be just foul. And that was his first home run of the year last inning.
I think Alejo figured that Lanier had gone twice in a row. He wasn't expecting the 3rd. Probably flinched on that first movement, flinched the wrong way.
Matthew Micah not chasing, not doing any favors there for Sam Lanier. So Jake Agnos got the start tonight, struck out 8 Knights, but ultimately would not survive the 5th inning when 8 Knights would come to the plate. Micah's just the 2nd batter faced front by Lanier here. A strikeout, a pickoff. And Lanier trying to have a very successful portion of this 6th inning on the mound. This inning will continue. Micah reaches for a 3rd straight frame here in Greenville.
Lanier got a little bit overconfident in that curveball that Matthew looked pretty bad at the very pitch before. Micah decided he wasn't going to get fooled twice. Did a really good job of staying in, staying back. Good piece of 2-strike hitting by Micah Matthew.
Micah with a pair of walks, a single, and now a home run. So it's Matthew Micah over on first. Dallas Beaver at the plate now. He is 1 for 3, but a big one. 2-run blast back in the 4th inning. And his 5th homer on the year.
Coach Lovelady talking about Micah Matthew being the spark plug, being the emotional leader for this team, getting them fired up and going. He's certainly been the guy to do that for tonight. 2 runs scored, like you said, been on base every time. Hit his first home run of the season. No doubt that he is providing some serious energy for these Knights.
Dallas Beaver with that home run, now a 8-game hitting streak. 17 straight games reaching base safely. One of two Knights who made every start last year, both behind the plate at third, a DH as well, all-conference utility batter. And Dallas Beaver grew up in the backyard of the spring training grounds of about half of the major league teams over there in Kissimmee. I always feared saying the city name out loud. I wasn't sure if I was saying it right.
You were feigning ignorance.
So the master's student at the plate, looking to do some more damage here with 2 outs. Facing Sam Lanier for the first time. Micah, the runner on first. And again, if Beaver could send another one over the outfield wall, we're talking about a 1-run ball game.
You got to stop for a second. Give kudos to this young man for playing college baseball and still able to graduate in 2 years. That is,
he'll have his PhD before his eligibility runs out.
The time commitment, the difficulty in managing and balancing that as a student athlete, it's a difficult task, and it's impressive when people can make good grades, but to get it done in 2 years is unreal.
That wind starting to pick up a little bit. Playing the role of our windsock tonight is second base umpire Brian Drury. Your pitcher, Sam Lanier, second man out of the bullpen tonight for ECU. Dallas Beaver at the plate. 2-2 count coming up with 1 on and 2 away. Pardon me, 2 base runners. It's a moot point, 3 outs. Beaver caught looking. Brandon Hernandez give the Knights their 7th run. It's a 4-run affair. Bottom of the 6th coming up.
More than 7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 22 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American, powered by determination.
Power comes in all forms.
Power is a big tackle, a big save, a clutch hit,
or a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
There is power in the sportsmanship that is displayed across the American.
Power is respecting opponents,
Officials,
student athletes,
coaches, and team representatives.
Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments,
profanities, or other improper actions while at the game.
The American.
Power for life.
The American, power for life.
The American,
power for life.
Well, the Pirates have seen the Knights cut into their lead each of the past 3 innings. The Knights find another run in the top of the 6th. Back in the home half, Lincoln Rose, Kelly Wunsch, Aaron Summers with you. Greenville, North Carolina, last year home of a regional, as the Pirates would claim the automatic bid out of the American. And for the Knights on the mound, that's Luis Ferreira, the 5th-year senior out of Cape Coral, Florida. Started his career over at Polk State. Both teams have now gone to the bullpen on a pair of occasions. He inherits a 4-run deficit at the moment. Again, I believe that Cam Colmore, at least at this time, in line for a victory if the Pirates can hang on. Pirates 11 runs on 11 hits. They may need a little bit more to survive this evening with a talented UCF program visiting for the weekend.
There's been a lot of noise in the first 5 innings so far, but here we are, 4-run ball game in the 6th inning. This is about as close as any other game.
The southpaw Ferrer facing the 2, 3, and 4 hitters at the minimum due up here in the 6th inning. Lane Hoover today has scored twice, has 3 runs batted in, a walk, a 2-run double, and an RBI single. That was all in the first 3 innings. It's his first time to the plate since that 3rd inning, as that ball stays high. Spencer Brickhouse on deck. Alec Burleson, the only Pirate who's yet to run around the bases today. Due up 3rd here this inning. And off speed, and they say off the mark.
UCF with the first pitcher. Left-hander able to take advantage of the natural lefty on lefty advantage.
Underneath this one, Alejo plenty of time to camp out and squeeze it in, as Pirates have not had their leadoff batter reach now for the past 3 innings.
Imagine Greg Lovelady was hoping that Ferrer is going to be able to go a few innings, maybe take him close to the rest of the way, take advantage of the lefty on lefty matchups. As we mentioned before, there's going to be 6 natural left-handers. There'll be 1 guy that's going to turn around and hit right hand. This is a good matchup here.
Spencer Brickhouse drove in the first 2 runs of the night for ECU back in the 1st inning. 2-run double followed by an RBI single in the 2nd, and a strikeout his last at bat back in the 3rd. 2 for 3 today, as Luis Ferrer making his 8th appearance, all in relief. 9 2/3 innings before that out recorded a moment ago. Coming into tonight with a 6.52 ERA, opposing hitters hitting .286. But most importantly right now, nobody on with 1 away. So Chris Williams got the start, went 3 innings before we saw Zach Hunsaker. Luis Ferrer now the 3rd arm for the Knights. We've seen 3 for the Pirates as well. And the Pirates may not be comfortable right now with just the 4-run cushion. And at one point led 10-1.
There's certainly no reason they should be comfortable. They should have been in the catbird seat after 3rd inning, but as we saw, things can change in a heartbeat.
235-pounder with the bat, occupying that left-handed box. Spencer again improving his batting average, 2 for 3 today, now .389 on the year. 1 of 3 in here in the heart of this ECU lineup, hitting .380 or better. Able to sit back on that offering from the southpaw, but unable to make the most of it. It's going to be Alejo squeezing in another one. Nice start for Luis Ferrer. Retires both Hoover and Brickhouse for the first 2 outs. That'll bring up Alec Burleson, who was the first man to face the reliever Hunsaker back in the 4th inning. 0 for 3 today. Fly out, pop out, ground out. Micah DeBeaver. That is a perfect inning for Luis Ferrer. Perhaps the Knights are going to build some momentum down the stretch. Going to continue to cut into the deficit as we move on to the 7th inning.
more than 7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 22 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power Six conference known as the American, powered by determination.
Power comes in all forms.
Power is a big tackle, a big save, a clutch hit,
or a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
There is power in the sportsmanship that is displayed across the American.
Power is respecting opponents,
Officials,
student athletes,
Coaches and team representatives.
Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments, profanities, or other improper actions while at the game.
The American.
Power for life.
The American, power for life.
The American,
Power for life.
Well, as the sun set on the weekend, or heading into the weekend, temperatures have dipped a little. First of 3 meetings here in conference play this weekend, all in Greenville, between the Pirates, your preseason favorites, and the Knights. They're expected to be among the top 4 teams in the league. Sam Lanier back on the mound. Faced 3 batters last inning. Would pick up a pair of strikeouts, allow a single, even picked off a runner. And here is the 5 spot in the lineup, Anthony George, who's walked his last 2 times at the plate. Officially 0 for 1 today, has been stranded twice. See if he can keep things going. UCF's been successful getting their leadoff man on each of the last 3 innings. And they've outscored ECU in those 3 frames now. As 6 of their 7 runs have come during that stretch. Lanier able to fool George on that one.
He's got a lot of tight spin on that curveball. It doesn't throw it that hard, but it's got some pretty good movement.
George tries to send this one for a ride. And for a 3rd time tonight, the confines here in Greenville, not enough to keep the Knights in the park. Solo shot from Anthony George.
Well, credit George for a nice piece of hitting right there. Kind of froze on the 12-6 deuce previous pitch. And he got a fastball a little bit up in the zone. I tell you, if that fastball was another 6 inches higher, he'd have been in good shape. Probably gotten a pop-up, but that was just low enough for George to get his hands in on him. Boy, he got barrel to ball very well, very quickly.
2nd home run on the year for Anthony. Just his 3rd run batted in as he drives himself home for the 2nd time. And that is another leadoff batter, technically reaching base for UCF. Part of a successful formula, obviously, as they're back within 3. Here's Dalton Wingo. Wingo tonight a strikeout, a single, and reached on an infielder's miscue, most recently back in the 5th inning. Officially a fielder's choice.
The closer this game gets, the more you're going to wish you had Alejo back on first base instead of being picked off. I hate going back and looking at those things saying what if, but tight ball games, usually the team that makes the least mistakes is the one that's going to win.
That was just last inning. This will get past the diving glove of Giles. Extra bases on the mind of Wingo. Back into the corner, and still nobody out. Back-to-back extra base hits. The home run from George, the double now from Wingo.
We didn't get much of it. Kind of rolled over that fastball, but he hit it in a perfect spot. Bounced right over the 3rd base bag. rattled around down in left field, allowed him for a stand-up double.
Just his 5th extra base hit through 22 ball games. And let's see if that's it for Sam Lanier. For a 3rd time today, Cliff Godwin will go to the bullpen. On the bright side, it means we get to go to Aaron Summers. Aaron?
Thanks. Written on every single UCF lineup card are the words "leaving a legacy." Head coach Greg Lovely writes it out each game to remind the players they are part of a larger picture that includes all of the programs before them and all of the ones that come after them. Lovelady challenges his players to reach the previous team's bar and then raise it, which it looks like they're trying to do here tonight as they continue to put runs on the board. Lovelady also writes, today is the most important day of the season. He doesn't care that they just beat Florida State on Tuesday. He wants his players to completely focus on getting the win tonight. Lincoln?
Aaron, thank you. Last year, a 35-win campaign for UCF. They've already chased 3 pitchers for the Pirates, although UCF's last lead was when it was 1-0 going into the home half of the 1st inning. But they have continued to chip away. Knights, big additions this year, a couple of grad transfers to their pitching staff after losing some experience to the Major League Baseball draft. But he'll point out he had a lot of seniors on that first year in Orlando. It was a fun season when you have that kind of experience. You're not doing quite as much babysitting. This year he's back to having a senior-laden lineup for UCF, as they'll now be facing again the newest pitcher on the mound for ECU, as Alec Burleson will make the short trip from first base over to the pitcher's mound. The sophomore who was in the conversation for being a starter this Sunday, that seems less likely now. So first man Burleson will face is Chandler Robertson, the DH. 1 for 3 today, a couple of strikeouts, a bunt for a base hit. For Burleson, it's the 7th time we've seen him take the hump. 4th time now in relief, but a solid two-way player, a 2.35 ERA. A victory to show for it in his lone decision. 23 innings so far for the Pirates. Hoping to shut down the Knights here. First pitch swinging in and out of the glove of your new first baseman. As Spencer Brickhouse, your DH, I believe, is now manning the bag. And he's tested. And things continue to go the way of the Knights.
Burleson got caught spectating a little bit. I'm sure he thought that was caught and kind of stopped, but you know, your reaction has got to be get over there as quick as you can to first base. Anytime the ball is hit to your left side as a pitcher, you've got to be instinctually moving towards first base and be ready to take the throw. First baseman recovered plenty of time to get him the ball, but nobody to throw it to.
All 3 batters, 5, 6, and 7 holes in the lineup. Ball able to reach here in the 7th inning. Promising start again for the Knights. Still nobody out for Griffin Bernardo. And let's see if we have a pinch hitter now, as Adams Torres, the sophomore, young man out of Santiago, Dominican Republic, will come up in a big moment here. He's been your backup third baseman a lot of this year. What do you think is the instruction here to Adams with 2 on and nobody out?
Hit the ball. Let's not overthink it there, Lincoln.
Pirates would welcome one up the middle. Everybody playing up, however.
Potential for a bunt situation, sure.
Well, often you see that step out of the rubber to see if Torres is showing bunt, but he was already squared around.
He's already squared around, but sometimes You might get him to flinch like he's going to pull it back. Slug bunt.
Nobody out. With a lefty, you've got that opportunity at third. And a pitcher, obviously, who can field his own position as your otherwise everyday first baseman in Burleson. Wingo retired.
Yeah, that's one thing. When you come in that situation to bunt, you're going to go ahead and square around and just give up the sack. You cannot miss towards the pitcher. Especially count your first opportunity. You got to try to get that no man's land much closer to the third baseline.
So Torres reaches on the fielder's choice. Robertson at second does advance. Here's Brandon Hernandez, your number 9 hitter, now with 1 away and 2 on. 1 run has already scored this inning. 3rd homer of the night for UCF as Anthony George joined in with the solo blast. Knights have scored 7 of the last 8 runs in this ball game. As this comeback really began back in the 4th with their first of these 3 long balls off the bat of Dallas Beaver.
Nice job by the Knights bullpen. Shutting down ECU. Giving their hitters a chance to bring this game back from reach.
Hernandez, the line out, strikeout, reached and scored on an error back in the 6th inning. Their lone run last inning. Not chasing, count goes full.
Burleson's pretty occupied by the runners at second base. He's drawn a little bit of his attention away right now. He really needs to focus on this 3-2 count that he's facing with Hernandez. The next thing he wants to do is load the bases with your 9-hole hitter, no less.
Yeah, Alejo on deck. 2 away.
Well, got a big assist from Brandon Hernandez on a fastball that was clearly up out of the zone. Little bit over anxious, trying to make sure that he didn't watch one go by. I think it was more of a protective swing than anything.
Ray Alejo still comes to the plate as potentially your tying run with 2 Knights on the base paths. Robertson and Torres right now. Chandler Robertson in the center of your screen. And Alejo, just like he was to begin the ball game, first pitch swinging. This one fouled back into the bullpen. Ray Alejo tonight, 3 for 4 is that average now up to 379. Still with more work to be done. Has scored in the 1st inning, again in the 5th. Comes up with 2 on and now 2 out here in the 7th inning. Here's the 1-1 offering to Alejo.
You can really see Burleson's attention being occupied by the runner at second. See that wind whipping the flags over there in right center.
Alejo not doing any favors for Burleson.
See left-hander just starting his windup before he's really focused on the catcher, leaving his hand in his glove just a little bit too long and just cannot bring that ball back down into the zone. He's missing everything away and up.
Robertson back in time.
That's what speed on the bases can do to you, especially if you're a big, tall guy that's normally a little bit slow to the plate and you're trying to be a little extra fast to keep guys from taking extra bases on you, getting free bases. You end up suffering in your command.
This will hold up there for Packard. And there's your third out. But not before the Knights score for a fourth consecutive inning, including their third home run of the ball game tonight here on the road. Anthony George with the solo shot has pulled them back within 3.
People say we're big. Wow. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy. An opportunity. So go on. Dream big. Because big is just the beginning.
I got it. This is big.
Strong in mind, strong in body, strong in school, sport, life.
The grind is 10% physical and 90% mental.
The mind is the power.
The body is a means to jump higher, run faster,
be smarter, and live longer.
There is no weakness when it comes to seeking help.
We are stronger together.
So let's talk about it.
A waterfall starts with one drop.
Change starts with one person.
The American is dedicated to ending the stigma related to mental health
and promoting success through a healthy, powerful mind.
Promoting success through a healthy, powerful mind.
Well, both teams now frequently dipping into their bullpen on this, the first of 3 straight days between the Pirates and Knights. Jalen Whitehead gets to join in on the good times here in Greenville. 4th-year junior. Started his career over at Northwest Florida State. Lincoln Rose, Kelly Wunsch. Let's check in with Aaron once again.
Lincoln, I know you've been talking about the ECU mustaches all night, but it is Mustache March. Last year, the team raised $11,000. This year, they're teaming up with Memphis and Michigan to help raise money for ALS, and their goal is to raise over $10,000 this year. Like you said, Coach Godwin wouldn't pick somebody that had the best mustache. He said it was too hard, that a lot of them have some really good facial hair going, but he did throw Turner Brown under the bus, saying he couldn't grow one.
As you see some of the results there in the dugout. Jalen Whitehead, another lefty, much to the delight of my broadcast partner, Kelly Wunsch. We'll all get together in the off season.
Oh yeah, Christmas card lists.
Raise money for some of those left-handed desks in elementary schools.
That would be a fitting. That'd be a really worthy cause, I got to tell you.
Every kid I grew up with had all that pencil lead on their hand during cursive class.
Yeah, you didn't grow up in the era of erasable ink, and your hand erases it real well.
Now Brown at the plate. RBI back in the first inning. Run scored in the third. And 1 for 2 today, hitting .319 now on the year. Pushes one to the right side. Micah. He's been solid. We have not seen a Pirate base runner since back in the 4th inning. And that was our next batter, Jake Washer. 9 straight Pirates have been retired since the double and run scored by Washer. Hernandez. We've seen a couple of perfect innings now, and Jalen Whitehead looking to join Hunsaker and Ferrer with a solid inning of relief.
Well, starting with Hunsaker, Knights pitchers have been doing a lot better job of just getting the ball down in the zone, pitching to the bottom half of the strike zone.
Number 7 hitter in this lineup is Brady Lloyd. As an RBI single tonight, has been hit by a pitch, a run scored, and a strikeout looking. Officially 1 for 2.
Seeing the bottom part of the lineup for ECU. Bunting or showing bunt multiple times already this game.
Able to knock it down. Whitehead recovers in time. It's a 3-up, 3-down inning for Jalen Whitehead in his first inning of relief. There goes bottom of the 7th. UCF, 2, 3, and 4 hitters due up.
There's a lot to do out there. You can either talk about it or you can do something about it. At ECU, we choose to do things. And we can help you do just about anything. Come here to keep hometowns thriving, hearts beating, or make waves across the world. Wherever you're headed, this ship can get you there. With 30,000 of us doing so much, you won't find anyone sitting around. You ready?
Scores!
3 strikeouts in a row.
Dominance for a 4th straight year.
Cueto from 30!
Unbelievable. And be able to celebrate this type of championship.
There's the record breaker. They are the champions of the American.
"19 runs have crossed the plate tonight. ECU still hanging on. Ranked 14th in the country. Jake Agnos got the start. Chased back in the 5th inning. As Burleson continues on the mound right now. Your starting first baseman, your 4th pitcher of the night for the Pirates. UCF has actually now out-hit ECU. 8 runs on 12 hits. A lot of that occurring over the past 4 innings. As we ring in the top of the 8th with Tyler Osick. 1 for 4 today. A single and a run scored back in the 5th. It's Osick, Micah, and Beaver due up. They're a combined 4 for 10. And a break for Osick.
Long ball's been particularly lethal against ECU tonight. So far, 6 of the 8 runs on the scoreboard have resulted from home runs.
Beaver with the 2-run blast, 3-run shot from Micah, and then the solo shot from George last inning. And the count now 1-1 to Tyler Osick. Third offering here. Right back up the middle. It'll get down in front of Baker. And UCF continues to get the leadoff man on. And they've scored every inning that they have done so. Now 6 of 8 innings.
Just consistently putting these ECU pitchers in a defensive posture, having to hold guys on base, taking a little bit of their attention away from the hitter where you really want 100% of it.
Matthew Micah has scored twice today, including when he brought Alejo and Osick home on his 3-run shot in the 5th. 2 for 2 today with a pair of walks as well. Again, a tone setter for this group. Been productive tonight, and yet they're still asking for more. Down by 3.
Good pitch, just misses on the inside. Don't typically get that in a 1-0 count, though.
Here's the 2-1 offering. One first baseman tossing to another. The count will even up at 2-2. Remember, the Pirates put up 3 runs in the first, 3 more in the second, added 4 in the third, and another one in the fourth. They led 10-1 going into that 4th inning. But UCF has stayed focused, able to chase the starting pitcher, find some quality relief of their own. Right now, with Osick, the runner on first, Matthew Micah at the plate with a full count.
Temperature at the ballpark right now, 55 degrees. I'll tell you, with that wind that you hear, kind of surprising. See these guys out there without sleeves. You can see people in the stands. You look up in the background, you can tell it's a little cold.
For the first time tonight, Micah retired. Burleson gets him on strikes. 1 away.
Thought Micah trying to do a little too much with that fastball. Sometimes when you muscle up and try to hit it too hard, slows your bat down a little bit, dips the bat head, and just couldn't quite come up to the elevation of that pitch.
The good news for the Pirates, Micah retired. Bad news, that brings up Dallas Beaver. He had the first of the 3 home runs tonight. That's his lone base hit, 1 for 4. A 2-run blast in the 4th, a couple of strikeouts and a flyout otherwise. Tyler Osick still stuck over there at first base. ECU's defense has not done their pitching any favors with 3 errors this evening, all coming there on the right side. That combined with 13 base hits for the Knights as they've narrowed the deficit to 3. And Dallas Beaver's going to have to wait for that 3rd offering comes his way.
Pretty good height, pretty good right-left location, but was just a little bit off on both. Together, you don't usually get that call.
Got him that time. Count now 2-2. That lone base hit a big one. Gave them their 2nd and 3rd runs of the evening. Burleson in his 2nd inning on the mound, the 2-2. Beaver did not get all of that. And 2 batters later, after Tyler Osick had the leadoff single, he is still stuck on first base. 2 away.
Fastball from Burleson, just getting up in on those left-handers' hands. He's been kind of rushing out, leaving his hand behind and leaving it up on that side of the plate. It's actually worked in his favor against these left-handers where they go chasing it.
Anthony George led off last inning with the solo shot against Lanier. Has not faced Burleson yet. Prior to that, had walked twice and flied out. 1 for 2 today. Inches the average up to 211.
Apparently the big over-the-top deuce is not dead. I know for a number of years we started seeing way more sliders and split fingers and stuff like that. Where it seemed like that 12-6 curveball was kind of getting pushed to the wayside. But boy, we've seen a whole bunch of these tonight.
Again, we've seen Jake Agnos, Cam Colmore, and Sam Lanier. First 3 pitchers tonight for the Pirates. Now Burleson, who got the start at first base, was perhaps in the running for a start on Sunday in his second inning out there on the mound. And your base runner, Tyler Osick, has been stuck on first ever since a leadoff single. Run on contact with 2 outs here with George at the plate. 5-hole hitter. UCF has scored each of the last 4 innings. They have found 7 of their 8 runs during this stretch, but have yet to score here in the 8th. Burleson faced 3 batters in the 7th to get out of that jam. We're giving up the leadoff single to Osick here in the 8th. And Knight's batter's not doing him any favors. Pirates last year would go 14-10 in conference. The Knights would go 13-10. And the count goes full. The Pirates would make that run, including the final win over UConn in the championship game. Agnos was your starter in that, but it'd be Davis Kirkpatrick who would secure the final out and the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. 2 outs, 1 on. And we'll do it again with the 3-2 count. Fifth time at the plate tonight for the number 5 hitter for UCF.
33 pitches so far for Burleson. I don't know that that necessarily takes him out of the running for a Sunday start, but it's getting there close, or getting there quickly.
Well, he might start. It may just not be on the mound.
Right. All right, Captain Technical.
I'm just trying to avoid that left arm of yours. Payoff pitch with 2 away. Anthony George still fighting. Knights have not been able to cut into that deficit here in the 8th.
So Burleson's reaction after this pitch, he wanted that one. George just hanging in.
And for all we know, the scoreboard operator has extended their spring break. They haven't been needed now for a little bit. That pitch count staying right where it has been. Burleson on the mound. George at the plate. Osick on first. And I feel like without any historical numbers to back it up, more often we see a battle like this pay off for the hitter.
I'm going to tell you, George is certainly showing his scrappiness here at this at bat, just really trying to fight off Burleson. You can see not giving in, not trying to do too much.
And George homered last inning. Caught looking. Second strikeout of the inning. More importantly, out number 3. For the first time since back in the 3rd inning, the Pirates pitch a shutout frame. If ECU has it their way, it'll be the final inning. They bring their bats to the plate for the bottom of the 8th.
More than 7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 22 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American, powered by determination.
Power comes in all forms.
Power is a big tackle, a big save, a clutch hit,
or a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
There is power in the sportsmanship that is displayed across the American.
Power is respecting opponents,
Officials,
student athletes,
Coaches and team representatives.
Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments,
Profanities or other improper actions while at the game.
The American.
Power for life.
The American, power for life.
The American, power for life.
Pirates and Knights on opening night in the American. ECU only briefly trailed after that top half of the first inning, 1-0, but it was a short-lived deficit. They are hanging on to an 11-8 advantage. Still working a complete game for us here on the American Digital Network. Aaron Summers. Aaron?
Thanks. It is that time of the game to think about who the most valuable player has been. And we want you to decide. There's been a ton of offense, but maybe you want to go with the pitcher. ECU starter had 8 strikeouts when it was all said and done. It was quite a while ago, but it was 8 strikeouts by Jake Agnos. So make sure that you pick who you think the best player of the game is.
Well, if the Knights have it their way, timeout was called. No balk there as Whitehead remains in the ball game. If the Knights have it their way, perhaps we haven't seen the MVP just yet. If Kelly Wunsch has it his way, no matter what the outcome is, a pitcher is going to win the award. Either way,
at 100%.
Either way, the MVP will have a chance to chat with Aaron on the conclusion of this one right now. Bottom of the 8th. UCF is hoping to force the Pirates to bat again in the bottom of the 9th. Dusty Baker out of the 8th spot. Tonight he's 0 for 3 officially, with a run scored back in the 2nd when he reached on a fielder's choice. It's his 4th time to come to the plate. And UCF has out-hit the Pirates tonight, 13-11. The Knights have stranded 9. This one's sent for a ride. Baker slips. No worries. He'll never have to get out of 2nd gear. First blast of the night for the Pirates. Their first run since the 4th inning. As Dusty Baker touches them all.
A little bit of lefty on lefty crime. Whitehead managed to get himself behind in the count, elevated a fastball. It doesn't matter what side of the rubber you throw from, you elevate a fastball behind the count, you are playing with fire. Dusty Baker made him pay for it.
first home run on the year for the number 8 hitter Baker. And quickly on to Ryder Giles in the 9th spot. 2-run single back in the 3rd inning. Last time we saw the Pirates put up multiple runs in an inning. Ryder tonight 1 for 2. Again, one of the 2 freshmen in your starting lineup on a regular basis for ECU. Jalen Whitehead worked that perfect 7th inning. In fact, each of the last 3 pitchers, Hunsaker, Ferrer, and Whitehead, had been able to string together 3 consecutive perfect innings. Helped pull this game back within 3.
Whitehead really efficient last inning, finished with less than 10 pitches. Pounded the strike zone, down in the zone, got 3 quick ground outs.
I think it was a 7-pitch inning.
See what happens when you fall behind in the count. Start to elevate. Changes the complexion very quickly.
And head coach Cliff Godwin is your third base coach for ECU. Pep talk there for Giles. Nobody on, nobody out after the home run from Dusty Baker. Two and 2.
Good changeup. Good idea.
Whitehead.
Doubled up with the changeup. 2-2 changeup. Hitter was still out in front. Rolled over the top of it. Second ground ball hit to Whitehead so far in 2 innings.
The first out here in the 8th. That brings up the top of the order. And again, last year's American Player of the Year. And the pride of Greenville, now the junior, Bryant Packard. Whitehead will work quickly ahead in the count. Packard tonight 2 for 4, hitting .333 on the year. An RBI, 2-run score. Single and a double thus far. Both of our catchers, Anthony George for UCF and Jake Washer for ECU, have worked with a handful of pitchers tonight. Whitehead, the 4th pitcher on the day for the Knights here on the road.
Object on the field, apparently.
See that wind now blowing out towards right. One to Packard. Osick will watch that one go foul. That is a chilly breeze here in Greenville.
Well, foul ball went a long way for a ball that got in on Packard. Pulled his hands in and almost appeared to have sawed him off, but had some carry.
Ryan Packard, 3rd batter of this inning. Baker with the home run, Giles the ground out. And not tempted there as the count goes full. Payoff pitch from Whitehead.
Interesting thing about the college level, a lot of these guys have been starters their whole lives, and even left-handers. And they're used to facing right-handed hitters just as much as right-handed pitchers are used to facing right-handed hitters. And sometimes it's a little uncomfortable for a left-hander to throw against a left-hander.
That may have grazed the elbow. Either way, it's a free pass. It was a 3-2 count. Packard will move down to first with 1 away.
You're
going to say it's a walk, then that was simply ball 4.
I'll tell you from experience, you get used to facing nothing but right-handers, and when the occasional left-hander comes up to you as a left-hander, you almost feel kind of constricted on your throwing side. You feel like it's real easy to hit a guy, and so you tend to be a little bit extra careful in trying to hang on to the ball a little bit too long. Sometimes it can really mess with your command until you get to the point where you've been put in situations where you face enough left-handers. It kind of becomes your deal, but it is a process in learning to get better at it.
So Cliff Godwin made it a point to pull Lane Hoover aside before he stepped up to the plate. Hoover tonight 2 for 3, a couple of runs scored, a couple of runs driven in as well, 3 RBI total in fact, and has a teammate on first in the form of Packard right there, who walked a moment ago. As Whitehead gets that call. Dusty Baker led off this inning with a home run, ending the drought for the Pirates. Ryder Giles would ground back to Whitehead. Packard a moment ago worked the count full and then the walk. He's on first for Hoover, who shows bunt, then withdraws. With a pitch in there for a strike. And Lane Hoover, first year of college ball. Mentioned this earlier, Cliff Godwin said his job has just been to hit ground balls. His head coach pulled him aside a moment ago, as they're going to try to find any insurance they can to lock this up in the top of the 9th. But the Knights have made this game far more interesting than perhaps many anticipated if you tuned in midway through this ball game, and it was a 10-1 affair for ECU. I'm sure we have viewers in the Orlando area taking offense to that comment, but had confidence in UCF the entire time. They were able to chase Jake Agnos in the 5th inning. Wingo. There's out number 2.
Whitehead got away with 1 right there. Again, one of the biggest problems with the UCF pitchers tonight has been elevating pitches in the zone. You can see that pitch was belt high. Served it up on a platter for Hoover, and Hoover was just a little bit out in front of it.
Spencer Brickhouse began the night as your DH. Now your first baseman, adding 2 for 4 this evening. A big cut against Whitehead. Spencer doing most of his damage in the first 2 innings with 3 RBI, a double and a single, since then a strikeout and a flyout.
Tough sequence for a hitter. Fastball just over the top of your hands, and then painting a good breaking ball on the outside black. Got Whitehead in a good position against Brickhouse.
Brickhouse, the 8th batter that Jalen Whitehead has faced here in relief. A perfect 7th inning, but a home run and a walk allowed so far here in the 8th. In fact, the top third of this lineup for ECU now, 6 of 12, including Brickhouse, 2 for 4, but most of that production came in the first 3 innings.
Brickhouse started down 0-2 in this count. Managed to work it up to even.
Whitehead. And that will allow Packard to move into scoring position. Albeit still with 2 outs, as Whitehead can stay focused on the batter in front of him.
A little bit of dilemma for Whitehead. You got a base open for Brickhouse. You don't necessarily want to just groove a fastball and let him drive a double, but you don't necessarily want an extra base runner either.
This one's set for a ride out towards the scoreboard. It'll take a hop in front of the warning track, but it will plate Packard, and Brickhouse has himself a triple. That may be some of his teammates' favorite moment of the night.
I get the sense that Brickhouse ain't going to win a whole lot of sprinting contests.
How dare you?
Based on the reaction from his teammates, they were not expecting to see him ended up standing on third base.
It's his second triple on the year, as Alejo just couldn't get a clean bounce off the wall. Second run this inning.
Well, that's exactly what I was talking about. Jalen Whitehead found himself in a full count. Had a base open at first base. He chose to go ahead and just try to not walk Brickhouse and threw him a fastball right down the middle of the zone, a little bit elevated. It's probably lucky that Brickhouse didn't put it on the other side of the center field fence.
Brickhouse now a home run shy of the cycle. And folks who have brunch plans tomorrow are hoping that he doesn't have a chance to come up for a 6th time. So any kind of miscue between Whitehead and George here, and you could be seeing another insurance run come home, knowing the speed of Spencer Brickhouse. As Burleson at the plate, behind in the count.
Whitehead entered this game. He looked really good, staying back, getting the ball down in the zone. Good downhill playing. This last inning, you see him kind of rushing out there. It's taken him a long time to get the ball out of his glove, and everything has been up. Most of what he's had is up.
There is out number 3. 6 Pirates came to the plate. Dusty Baker, the home run. Spencer Brickhouse, the RBI triple to bring home Packard. And the Pirates a little more breathing room and a chance to close things out at the top of the 9th.
There's a lot to do out there. You can either talk about it or you can do something about it. At ECU, we choose to do things. And we can help you do just about anything. Come here to keep hometowns thriving, hearts beating, or make waves across the world. Wherever you're headed, this ship can get you there. With 30,000 of us doing so much, you won't find anyone sitting around. You ready?
Scores!
3 strikeouts in a row.
Dominance for a 4th straight year. Cueto from 30!
Unbelievable. And be able to celebrate this type of championship.
There's the record breaker. They are the champions of the American.
Well, it will not be a save situation, but your newest pitcher on the mound for ECU will be Ryder Giles, the starting third baseman, the freshman out of Vassar, North Carolina. And he is looking for, he hopes, a stress-free outing here in the 9th inning to improve the Pirates to a 1-0 start in conference play. Got a couple more insurance runs that last half inning.
Well, already not your prototypical infielder stepping on the mound and pitching. And often you see an infielder come in here and start dropping down sidearm.
So again, he'll be the 5th pitcher of record tonight. Cam Colmore still in line, I believe, for the victory this evening. As Dalton Wingo, the number 6 hitter in this lineup, 2 for 4 today, will come up for a 5th occasion. Chandler Robertson on deck. And Adams Torres, who has stayed in the ballgame at 3rd, will be due up 3rd this inning, after coming on for Bernardo. Right past the third baseman turned pitcher into center field to Baker. And a nice start there for Wingo, who's on for a 3rd time.
What's a good thing about sidearm pitchers, they tend to be ground ball pitchers. Stay back and get your hand on top of the ball. You usually get that late sink, turns over as it reaches the plate, and it's hard for hitters to get the bottom half of the ball. You saw Giles right there, just elevated the pitch.
ECU finally got a shutout inning last inning in the 8th, but still have struggled getting the leadoff man retired, including here in the 9th.
Maybe been a change up to start with.
Foul off the bat of Robertson.
Back-to-back changeups. That was a lot better location. That was one of the best pitches he's thrown so far.
7th appearance for Ryder Giles. Has yet to allow an earned run this year. And his, again, first 6 appearances, 6 1/3 innings of work. Opposing hitters batting .091. There's not going to be a quiz over any of this.
A little upshoot slider. Some sidearm pitchers will throw kind of a sidearm curveball, and it ends up being a big sweepy break. He looks like to be a little bit more of a slider thrower, and it kind of upshoots.
Ryder's one of 4 different Pirate pitchers with at least 1 save this year. Again, not going to happen here for Ryder. He's just looking for 3 outs. 4 or 5 runs come home. UCF's biggest inning, 3 spot in the 5th, all on the swing of Matthew Micah. Robertson sat back patiently and still could not put the barrel on it.
Little front door slider. Like you said, Robinson tried to stay back, and he just could not stay back long enough. Realized that that ball was going to come back and break over the plate. A little bit of emergency hack in the end, not good enough.
And again, Adams Torres came in as a pinch hitter back in the 7th. Has been playing the hot corner ever since. Comes up to face Giles. Mentioned Nick Barber, the junior, came on to play 3rd base in place of Giles. One out, one on for Adams Torres.
Giles is going to sit there and think about that one for a minute and wonder where he's got to throw it for it to be called a strike.
Now 2-1.
See, Giles doesn't have a whole lot in terms of a fastball. He's getting by movement, deception, really kind of getting underneath people's bat speed, take advantage of their aggressiveness.
See Burleson back over at first. Two balls, 2 strikes with 1 away. Wingo, the runner on first at the moment for UCF. Torres brings out the irons. That's in foul territory and out of play.
2-2 count. Giles tried to go to that slider, try to break it off the plate. Kind of muscled up a little bit, and instead of getting out across the plate, it started inside and broke in just inside Torres's swing. Probably got away with one right there. Probably actually the fact that it drifted too far in was lucky for him.
All right, at eye level, Hoover was playing in, able to get back in time. And the Pirates now just need one out to open conference play on a winning note. And it comes down to the number 9 hitter, Brandon Hernandez, due up. And we will have for UCF, this is Pedro Castellano. Down by 5, a runner on first. As Castellano, your pinch hitter, is to turn this lineup over to Alejo, Osick, and Micah waiting in the wings. Otherwise, again, the Pirates will take game 1 of this weekend series.
Lady chose to put Castellano, the left-handed hitter, in favor of the right-handed hitter, Brandon Hernandez.
Hernandez has been 0 for 4. Did score once after reaching on an error. UCF may be down to its final out. They face the freshman Ryder Giles on the mound, looking to slam this door shut. Baker will squeeze it in, and the Pirates have secured game 1. The defending American champions, last year's automatic bid winners to the NCAA tournament, are off to a 1-0 start here in league play. In a moment, Aaron Summers will have a chance to check in with one of our top performers tonight for the men here in Greenville, as ECU trailed briefly in the first inning, but never looked back. But UCF certainly kept it interesting.
Yeah, well, UCF got down early, you know, just pitching-wise. Starting pitcher Williams just got a little bit too much of the plate. Found themselves in a pretty deep hole, but got to give them a lot of credit for bouncing back and making an interesting ball game. Certainly something ECU probably wishes didn't have to happen. They ended up having to go through a lot more arms than they probably thought they would about halfway through this ball game, but it sets up UCF a little bit better for the following 2 ball games.
Same 2 teams back at it tomorrow as well as on Sunday. Again, in a moment, Aaron will have a chance to check in with one of our top Pirate performers this evening, presumably a man who drove in 4 runs tonight and was just a home run shy of the cycle. But the Pirates at the moment taking a moment to thank all their fans. It was a night where UCF technically out-hit ECU 14-13, but UCF would, including that last inning, leave 10 men stranded.
Stranded way too many, even though they did have some pretty good clutch hitting at one point. 3 home runs resulting in 6 RBIs.
Step aside when we come back. Post-game interviews as ECU prevails.
People say we're big. Wow. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy. An opportunity. So go on. dream big. Because big is just the beginning.
I got it. This is big.
There's a lot to do out there. You can either talk about it, or you can do something about it. At ECU, we choose to do things. And we can help you do just about anything. Come here to keep hometowns thriving, hearts beating, or make waves across the world. Wherever you're headed, this ship can get you there. With 30,000 of us doing so much, you won't find anyone sitting around. You ready?
Scores!
3 strikeouts in a row.
Dominance for a 4th straight year.
Cueto from 30!
Unbelievable. And be able to celebrate this type of championship.
There's the record breaker. They are the champions of the American.
Well, the Pirates hang on for a 13-8 victory. Congratulations to Cliff Godwin, a former Pirate in his own right, now leading the Pirates for a 5th year. Last year, for a 2nd time, able to capture the American Tournament title. They start off 1-0 in conference play. Nice way to start their weekend. Plenty of fireworks tonight. 13-8 the final for Aaron Summers, Kelly Wunsch, I'm Lincoln Rose. Big thanks to our entire American Digital Network crew. As an entertaining way to start off the conference slate. It'll all be about finishing strong in Clearwater, Florida. We'll have that tournament as well right here on the American Digital Network as one of these teams tries to punch yet another ticket to the tournament. But for now, good night from Greenville.